Hello, my name is Raquel Blanchard, and today I would like to share with you the importance about having active listening and respecting boundaries in relationships, how our emotions, context, and background, and even personalities affect the way we interact with others and in our relationships. Today, I will be giving you an example of a relationship at work that escalated and how that could have gotten better if both people in this conflict were able to have some active listening and were able to respect boundaries. So I will be explaining the case to you and see how we can find a solution in the process. So when I work as a bank teller, one of the strictest rules that the employees have incorporate when you're working with money, with someone else's money, is that tellers were never allowed to touch each other's personal cash drawer. And this just makes sense because you're touching money and you need to balance at the end of the day. Your money is yours for that day. And no one can reach out to you, borrow money, or exchange money without having a specific process to do it. One day, two co-workers, Jesse and Tanya, we're gonna call them those names, were working beside me. I happened to be the only teller on the line that day with them. Jesse noticed that Tanya had chewing gum in her drawer, and he playfully tried to grab some of the chewing gum. At the beginning, Tanya told him to stop, but Jesse didn't take her seriously and reached out again to get the chewing gum. At that point, Tanya reacted emotionally and stabbed Jesse's hand with a pencil to the point that he was bleeding. So the situation escalated quickly. Tanya was hysterical. I remember she was almost crying, and I was the only witness. Jesse, on the other hand, had to go to the restroom and clean up his bleeding. Later, our manager asked me to write a report because I was the only one who saw the incident. And guess what happened by the end of the day? Both Jesse and Tanya were fired. There's a nice quote that I found uh, that a doctor wrote on the conflict manager, the National Library of Medicine, from Mrs. Ronquillo in 2023. And she wrote something very interesting, a quote that I think we can all keep in mind. And start quote. Conflict is the disagreement or difference of opinions between or among individuals that can be potentially harmful to any organization. This situation proves how quickly conflict can turn serious. Now let's talk about context, personality, and emotion. Context played a huge role here. A bank is a professional, high stress environment where boundaries really matter. Jesse may have a playful personality or background where playing felt normal, felt natural. But at this point, he ignored the workplace context and went and reached out for the piece of chewing gum. Tanya may have had strong personal boundaries or past experiences that made her feel like he was invading her space and feel threatened or that it was dangerous for him to reach out. Emotion also fueled the conflict. According to McCornack and Morrison 2019, the book that we're reading in class, Reflect and Relate, an Introduction to Interpersonal Communication, we need to think that people present a public self at work, a professional mask that hides their true emotions. Tanya may have appeared calm at first, but internally, her frustration kept building up. When emotions aren't acknowledged early, they can come out in unhealthy ways, as we just saw in this example. And how can we practice the role of listening? Listening was another major issue in this conflict. Tanya clearly told Jesse to stop. Active listening means not just hearing words, but respecting them. Jessie failed to listen, which communicated that her feelings didn't matter for him. If he had listened and stopped immediately, this entire situation have been avoided, and both of them could have saved their jobs. So, what's the recommendation for us here? First, when it comes to expressing emotions, recognizing feelings early is important. Anger and frustration should be addressed before they explode. Tanya had a right to feel upset, but reacting physically only made things worse for the situation. A better option would have been stepping back or getting a supervisor or asking for help immediately. Second, practice active listening. When we set boundaries, we or someone sets boundaries, we need to take it seriously the first time. Pay attention to verbal and non-verbal cues from that person. That will alleviate so many issues and conflicts at work and in relationships. Third, respect boundaries in professional settings. Even if something feels like a joke or something that you can play with, for us, maybe it might feel threatening for someone else. So it is important that we respect boundaries when someone says no or stop. The conclusion and call to action here. This situation shows how ignoring context, emotions, and active listening can lead to serious consequences. Conflict doesn't start big, it actually grows when people don't listen or manage emotions properly. My call to action is simple. We need to slow down, respect boundaries, and truly listen to others, especially if in professional environments. Doing so can protect our relationships, our jobs, our well being, and it will show that we are people who are compassionate and who care for others. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Bye.